The entire saga involves an evil psycho Mil who demanded her DIL abort her pregnancy, just because it's a boy, physically abused her grandson after birth for years behind DIL's back until OP exposed her, causing DIL to disown Mil. Now Mil has physically assaulted OP, poisoned her cat, burned down her house, and finally got arrested after trying to end her grandson by poisoning his lunch. So let's set the scene. It's late and pissing it down with rain, typical English weather. It's dark, it's miserable. Everyone is sick, literally everyone, with this death rattle cough because flu season. And I'm just trying to get through my night shift without committing mass murder or getting ill. You know the usual for us idiots who hate ourselves enough to work nights. Now that I work at the big supermarket, we get a lot of crazies, and what can I say? My llamas demand to be fed, and I love the drama, so I'm nosy. I'm working the stock down the meds aisle, contemplating the pros and cons of marrying a rich old guy and killing him off when some customers come along. There was an exhausted-looking woman who was trying to stop the snot flowing out of her nose from drowning everyone in the area, not successfully. An older woman whose cat butt face was causing havoc with the coastline outside. And a small boy, maybe around 5, wearing PJs and obviously as sick as his mother. The old lady snagged my attention because of my stalker habits on JNML, so I decided to discreetly watch them for llama feed. And boy, was I not disappointed. So the mom wanders up to the cough and flu section and is obviously weighing up the various options while her son tries not to cough up his lung. Seriously, this kid sounded like he had smoked 50 cigarettes a day for years. A proper death rattle, blesses him. Mil is just tapping her foot with impatience at this point and tutting. Mum ignores her, which obviously won't do because doesn't Mum know that Mil is the center of the known universe and therefore should be given constant attention? Insert eye roll. Once Mil reaches the conclusion that Mom isn't going to hurry up or pay her any mind, she starts with the snarky comments. And I'm paraphrasing here because I think my brain shut down in shock at the blatant rudeness. I'm British. Why are you reading the backs of the boxes? They all do the same thing. You can't waste my son's money on an expensive brand. My son wouldn't have gotten up in the middle of the night for this. You spoil little boys too much. We all know he is faking it for attention. If you didn't baby him so much, he wouldn't be like this. And so on and so forth. Like 5 full minutes of her whiny voice be teaching about everything this poor woman was doing wrong. After a little while, the mom picks which brand of cough stuff she wants and puts it in her basket. She asks Mil if she will watch him while she goes to the toilet to blow her nose, and Mil begrudgingly agrees. Now this is the bit that nearly caused me to fall into a rage-induced coma. The little boy is still working on coughing up that lung, and Mil is getting increasingly agitated. She leans down into this poor child's face and tells him again, not exact words, that she knows he is faking for attention, and that he better stop coughing before she punishes him for being such a spoilt little brat. I died. Like, literally, my soul pieced out of my body in an attempt to escape this vile woman's presence. Realizing my shock, I bit my lip, intending to tell the tale as soon as the mom got back. This poor little boy tried unsuccessfully to hold in his coughs as I mentally chalked a BTCH before letting out a giant death rattle. Quicker than the Flash himself, I think evil gives these BTCHs superhuman power. Mil bends the kid over slightly, then slaps him hard on the backside while saying stop coughing. I stand at this point, having had enough, and am marching towards them, while this BTCH is telling this child that she has just been physically abused and not to dare cry either. Obviously, small children do not work that way, and the boy starts crying in the middle of the aisle. Just as I reach them, she raises her hand again, and all thoughts of civilized intervention leave my head. I literally push myself in between her and the small child and manage to snarl, "You evil BTCH. Again, I'm British and not confrontational at all, so this was way out of my comfort zone. I felt like I was in a movie. The kid is full on crying his eyes out and wailing in the aisle at this point. I'm very close to kicking some arse. Mil is shrieking at me about how dare I assault her, I didn't touch her, and that she will have my job. Ya all the crazy SHT these crazy BTCHs say. This is where security decides to make its arrival, as well as little kid's mom, who kind of stands there shocked for half a second, taking in the scene. Her small child sobs hysterically, me squaring up to a woman who is far bigger than me and far trampier, looking like I'm about to have an aneurysm due to rage, and her red-faced Mil shrieking about my improper conduct. She stalked towards us and got right in my face and said with a deadly calm that gave me chills, "What the F did you do?" Goosebumps. Hell yeah, titanium spine. Mil starts spluttering and backtracking, so I very helpfully explain the entire situation to Mom, who goes pale when I mention the physical violence. Security, being useless, as always, just stands there watching it play out. Mom grabs her kid and her basket, looks at Mill and says, "We're done. Get the F out of my house and never darken my doorstep again. You will never see my child again," and with that, she just whisks away with her child without looking back. Mill, realizing that she's just been cut off and abandoned in a supermarket in the middle of the night, swings towards me with the obvious intent of revenge. I inform her politely, customer voice in full flow, that if she lays a hand on me, I will react with self-defense and have her arrested for assault. She took this as well as could be expected and had to be escorted out by security while shrieking like a banshee. I went back to my stock, thanking St. Louis that it was over. But, of course, it wasn't over. Fast forward a few hours to the end of my shift, and the day manager asks me for a word. He informs me that a woman made a formal complaint against me for improper and aggressive conduct. I tell him what really happened, and he informs me that I handled the situation badly, and in the future, I am to grab a manager if a customer is being difficult. In the end, after a lot of me giving him SHT, he tells me that this is just a verbal warning, and to keep it in mind in my future conduct. So there you go. That's how I nearly got fired this morning for stopping an old hag from abusing her grandson. Update. So I didn't really expect to have an update to this story. But be teachers be cray cray. I'm on my break, so this happened when I started my shift earlier. I got in to find that the GSM general store manager was waiting for me, which is hilarious because on a Sunday, he usually finishes work at 4 p.m. Apparently, he had been informed of the incident by the day manager and given the details by my awesome night manager. When a customer complains about a member of staff, the procedure is to take down their contact details so they can be kissed by HR. So in an effort to smooth over any potential problems, the GSM decided to handle Mill personally. He didn't go into details, but I managed to get the general gist of the conversation. He called her to apologize and offer her some freebies, typical crap like discounts, and apparently she went full-on crazy on him. Threatened him with a lawsuit, threatened my life several times for destroying her family, and threatened to burn down the store with the colleagues in it. You know what is normal in JNML territory. Since all our calls are recorded, the GSM was then left with the decision to contact the police or just take this as the normal SHT customers throw at us. Well, St. Louis must have been smiling down on us because the mother of the small boy contacted the store. She has decided that she wants to press charges against the Mill if she can, and she would like the footage we have of her assaulting her son and any contact details of the policeman who helped security escort her away from the area. She has also asked if it will be possible for me to give a statement as our cameras do not pick up audio. My GSM decided to actually grow some balls for the first time and decided to make her threats against the store and me personally a police matter. So now I get to give a statement of events tomorrow to the police, and hopefully it will help this woman and her family keep this crazy lady away from her. The company has also offered me the ability to change my shift to another day or move to another store, which I politely declined. I see an extinction burst on the horizon, and although she is banned from the store, we tend to be terrible at actually enforcing that. As security sees hundreds of faces a day, remembering one crazy lady is unlikely. Hopefully, this is the end. Probably not. Also, the GSM complimented me on my fast reaction to the situation and said that he believes I handled it well. Update. Okay, so I'm very sorry this isn't going to be much of a feed, so prepare the llamas for a little disappointment. Also, I'm on break, so I'm typing this quickly on my mobile. So I came into work early today to give my statement to the police, who very kindly agreed to come here so that a representative from the company could be present. I told the truth without any embellishments. Unfortunately, but not really shockingly, they aren't going to do anything about it. They are going to warn Mill that she is not allowed into our store or near me anymore due to her threats. But because this isn't uncommon in retail, they aren't taking it that seriously. However, just after I started my shift, Mom turned up with a little boy. She and he had come to bring me a box of chocolates as a thank you, which was very nice of her. In a rare social moment, I asked her if she would like to go to coffee at some point. So now that I have a coffee date next week, I will point her here then. I didn't think it was a good idea while at work to mention my posts. She did say, however, that this was not her first offense, and that this was her last chance to show them that she wasn't a complete post. She obviously failed that. She didn't elaborate, and I didn't push. But I am hoping she will impart some wonderful llama feed on our date. So I'm sorry. This is not much of an update. To those worried about my safety, work is insisting I take a job while things calm down. And my boyfriend is insisting that he move in with me early since I live alone just in case. Everyone is taking the threat to me very seriously. So please don't panic too much. Management has also decided to make it mandatory that if a customer goes after me specifically, they will be told I no longer work for the company. Hopefully, I will update you next week. Until then, my lovely llamas. Update. Please go check the bot for the backstory, my llamas. This is likely to be a jumbled mess. Read at your own peril. Sigh. Do you know how people warn you? And you think, nah, no one is that crazy, right? Lol. Wrong, so wrong. This is going to serve as a tale of caution to everyone out there who still believes that the escalation is going to happen. I had less than a 5-minute interaction with this woman. And yeah. So yesterday I met DIL, Herso, and their son for coffee. I will give an update about that at some point, because they gave me permission to post some stuff, but not others, so I will have to send it to them for approval. But seriously, start sharpening the pitchforks. We are going to need them. The reason I mention the meetup is because I believe it is important to mention for my update that me and my so have now moved in. So we had our young niece with us, a toddler who is super adorable. Now on to the actual update. I'm super tired. I warned you. So last night, I quit my job. Not that I had much choice after what happened last night. But yeah, so I only been back to work a little while purposefully being vague as someone already found me. So I was doing my thing, putting out stock and trying not to look like a serial killer, when I noticed a woman lurking around the bottom of the aisle. She was acting super suspicious, but I just assumed that she was shoplifting. So I went to the front to let security know what was up and return. She's gone. So I just assumed she got spooked and ran. An hour or so goes by, and she pops up again. This time, I'm barely aware that I'm fully into the swing of things and working my little arse off. She stays in my aisle for like 20 minutes, and it starts to bug me. I hate it when customers lurk around me for long periods of time. The aisle isn't that big. Just ask if you need help. But I'm feeling nice and thinking, hey, maybe she doesn't like asking for help. So being the kind, fantastic person I am, I decided, in all my infinite wisdom, to offer her aid. So I walk up to her, all smiles and a customer-friendly attitude, and ask her in my best customer voice if there is anything I can do to help. BTCH punches me in the face. Yup. No words first, no warning, just a full punch in the face. She managed to hit me twice. Luckily, my fight or flight kicked in, and I managed to back the F up pretty quickly. I was basically in shock. She has found her voice and is screeching about homewreckers and stuff. I legitimately think she got me confused with someone else. By this point, the rescue team has arrived. Everyone has been a bit jumpy after the threats to my person, and this woman ends up being tackled to the floor. I'm still going on about misunderstandings when the police arrive to find out what the hell happened. I didn't witness this bit because I was carted off to the medical room since my face was starting to swell and my nose was bleeding. But according to my work buddies, my assailant was telling anyone who would listen that I deserved it, and that that's what I get when I tear families apart. My manager, being the smart guy he is, was the first to connect the two incidents. He asked the police if she had any connection to Mel. She promptly stopped talking. Silence speaks volumes. She was then taken into police custody, and I will be pressing charges, as will the company. My manager then pressed me for information since he wanted to find out if the two incidents were related, and he's super nosy. We reviewed the security footage from the last few days, and every night, guess who has been in the shop with her new FM? Yup, Mel. Daytime security can eat a bag of DCKS. She's been coming in just before shift change and staying until night security is busy doing rounds. Obviously waiting to point me out. That is our theory anyway. The night manager called the police to update them, so we will see. Unless FM rolls over on Mil, though, it won't go anywhere. Me and my manager talked and decided it was best if I terminated my employment early. I was leaving in 2 months anyway, and the company has offered to pay me holiday pay until my formal resignation. So that stinks. He allowed me to work most of my last shift until my face started to really ache. Though security stood at the end of my aisle the whole time, pretending to look at stock. Unfortunately, that's not the end. Yeah, I got to see policemen twice in 24 hours. One of my work friends drove me home because everyone was a little paranoid about my safety. And I didn't want to wake up to come get me because I live quite far from work. So I get home, and it's still dark outside. I open my front door, and just inside the entrance to my house is a pile of gravelly-looking substance and some loose razor blades. After waking up, we determined the gravelly stuff to be rat poison. Now I have cats, and thank F they were snuggled up with me all night, because I have no idea what rat poison does to cats, but I guess it's not good. So we call the police after I finish explaining the new black eye and apologize for not getting so far to come and get me. The police get there, and we let them know what's going on with everything. They ask us how Mill would know our address, and I theorize that they must have been following DIL, and then followed us home as we have no other enemies, so it has to be her. And it can't be a coincidence that the same night I get punched, rat poison turns up on my doorstep. Also, I have been very careful about coming home from work, going all the way to a neighboring town, and getting someone to pick me up there to make sure no one follows me home. That's when So remarks that it's lucky that my niece wasn't here. Then it hits me. Mill, if she was watching, doesn't know that our niece isn't our child, and that she wouldn't be here. There was no note or anything, but how messed up is that? Toddlers are notoriously difficult to contain. How easy would it have been for her to sneak out of bed and get curious about the shiny things? We relayed this to the police, and we are now weighing the pros and cons of moving a few months earlier than planned. From what I know about this woman, she isn't done. I plan to call DIL in a little while. For now, So is making me pancakes. Hopefully, this all goes away soon. Hopefully, my next update will be more cheerful. I probably won't write up what DIL and her told me today, as I think I had enough of Mill for one day, so maybe tomorrow. Until then, remember, all crazy is dangerous crazy. It will escalate. Keep safe. Update. TW animal death and attempted murder. So I read all the comments on my last post, and you guys are so wonderful and supportive. I feel very grateful to have you all on my side. I decided to do a mini update about the current situation, because a lot has happened since yesterday. Also, since we were waiting for so long in the ER, I decided to write up the stuff the DIL and So told me at coffee, so that will be at the bottom. So yesterday morning, I ended up going to the ER rather than the walk-in clinic, because I thought in for a penny in for a pound. We were only waiting for an hour and a half, so I feel like St. Louis was looking down on me. Guess who has a fractured cheekbone? Someone give me a cookie for winning. So was very upset, more so than I, because he hadn't realized how serious it was until a nurse was lecturing me about my health and getting proper medical attention quickly. I got pizza on my way home, though, so I'm happy. This is where we get lucky, and it gets a little messed up. My night manager called me while we were in the hospital. He had taken it upon himself to watch all the security footage to make sure that the police got every minute of these crazy people on film, as they had only taken footage relating to the actual assault. I mentioned my crazy morning and the rat poison. He lost his SHT. Guess where Mill was filmed buying effing rat poison and effing razor blades this week? That's right, crazy BTCH got the SHT. She pushed through my letterbox from my place of work. My night manager told me he would call the police to get the footage. When we got home, I called my lawyer that I have with the union and was on the phone with them for a while. They believe we should sue my old store. I am, on your guys' advice, giving him the go-ahead. He is also doing his best to get an emergency RO. Luckily, since we have her on camera getting the stuff that was then put in my house, there may be enough evidence despite circumstantial to prove she is a threat. We also called the police to tell them about my injuries. They didn't really tell me anything, which disappointed me, as I had kind of assumed they would keep me constantly updated. But apparently not. They did confirm that they were investigating the new footage and the possible links between the incidents. But as of now, the FM is not rolling over. She is insisting that she worked alone. I'm not sure if they have asked about my homecoming present, as the officer insisted that when they knew something, I would be informed. I also contacted DIL. I was super busy yesterday. She came over with wine, which I didn't drink because of pain medications, but it was a nice gesture. She was very apologetic. However, she did prove very helpful, as this is not the first time Mill has used poisoning. That story will be below. She gave consent for our lawyers to team up to speak to get more information, and for me to pass all the contact details along. So got some super awesome cameras yesterday according to him. He works in tech, so we are putting them up today and looking into getting a bad arse letter cage. Thank you to whoever linked to it. That's everything I think. But if anyone has any questions, I'm not exactly doing anything better right now, so please go ahead. Also, it's hella early here. Yay, F-ed up sleeping schedule. Anyway, on to the llama feed. So I let DIL read this yesterday when she came over, and she has approved it. Also, she and her So have started to lurk here, and may start posting, hopefully. So hello to you. As I previously stated, I have not been given permission to share everything they told me, and I will respect their boundaries. I am also trying to keep this vague, as I don't want someone to find them. They have enough problems. So today, I am going to focus on all the events that have led up to every NC they went with this woman. Yes, all of them are plural. Mil will be our crazy BTCH, Dil will be my new friend, and DH will be Dil's husband. Without further ado, let's get on the crazy train to Looney Town. Sigh. So Mil was no better a mother than she is a grandmother. Yes, I don't know a lot about DH's childhood he didn't share, but I was told enough to know it wasn't fantastic, if not outright terrible. When he was still young, purposefully being vague with ages before secondary school age, Mil got bored of being a mother. Without a fill-in picture and a kid to cramp her style, she decided enough was enough and dumped DH on his elderly grandparents and took off with some stranger she had met at a bar. Fast forward a while, and DH is an angry teenager. He hasn't seen his mom in a long time, and his grandparents, while well-meaning, were getting along in age and didn't have the energy to wrangle an unruly teen with abandonment issues. Enter stage left Dil. When DH met Dil, everything changed. He managed to turn his life around and actually finish school. He even went to university with her support. She literally guided him to the light, and he credits her with saving his life. He was doing some not-so-good things to himself before. When they both come of age, they decide to get married. No one is particularly happy about this. Her parents were very brief with Just Knows for a short, while until they realized DH was here to stay. Everyone is happy. Everything is going so well. What could possibly ruin this wonderful moment? Enter from Demon Lair Mil. After a decade or so, she just popped out of nowhere, like daisies. Now, don't judge our young couple too harshly. They were young and full of love and hope, so they accept the Shedman back into the family fold. Now, during the wedding planning, Mil is super helpful, so they include her more. Now she doesn't have a lot of money, but she wants to help. Our young lovers are ecstatic that she is trying. She cares. The darkness of the past is behind them. Let's all laugh and groan together. They go cake tasting, and Mil offers to buy their dream cake, way outside their budget. They, of course, accepted this generous offer, and were overjoyed at this successful reunion. Our regrets. It is probably an appropriate time to mention that Dil has a super common, super deadly food allergy. Do you see where this is going? So they order the cake. The bakery is alerted to the allergy, the couple later sued but lost, and everything continues on. When the wedding day comes, everything goes perfectly. Mil is playing nice. The young newlyweds go to cut the cake and face smash obviously, and then disaster strikes. The couple end up in Dil nearly died, and it ruined their reception and wedding night. Afterward, Mil swore she didn't realize she had changed it to surprise them, as it was DH's favorite cake. This was the first time they went to NC. Deep, calming breaths. Fast forward some more, and our lovely couple is expecting their first bundle of joy. Mil reaches out, apologizing, explaining, and excusing her behavior. The couple decides to give her a chance, as they are still hopeful that she made a mistake by poisoning Dil on her wedding day. They start a tentative relationship, and then the gender reveal party comes along. They had asked for gender-neutral gifts for the baby. Mil had got them everything in bright pink naturally. She always wanted a little girl to spoil, apparently. So obviously, a baby is revealed to be a boy, and everyone is happy and celebrating. Dil notices Mil is acting strange and sullen, probably CBF, but ignores him. Later, when everyone is cleaning up, Dil and Mil are having a seemingly innocent conversation when Mil asks Dil when she was planning to abort. Obviously shocked, Dil asks, WTF? Mil is talking about why the ever-loving Jesus F would they abort? Well, obviously, so they could conceive a girl. Why waste time birthing the boy? Boys are horrible to raise. She knows she raised one. Blah blah blah. Luckily, DH had a spine and basically kicked his mother out, and told her never to come near them again. That was the second time they went to NC. No, we are not done tragically. I know. Try not to judge them. I asked them what the actual F they were thinking, and apparently, after a few years, the hatred kind of dissipates. They do not speak to Mil again until the baby is a few years old. They only contact her because she is in an accident and in the hospital. They allowed her to stay with them. I know I legitimately moaned, but all was well for a time. She was apparently a very considerate houseguest and cleaned up after them and herself. Never overstepped boundaries with Lo. After a year or so, they start to forget to not trust her. She moves out once she is better and everything is going smoothly. Then they get a dog. This bit actually really upset me, and I was mad at them for forgiving her after this. So they adopt a youngish dog and bring it home. The dog and small child are best friends immediately, glued to the hip. Playing around on the floor, normal stuff. Mill didn't like that. She exclaimed many times that the dog was obviously dangerous, which is why it was abandoned. It shouldn't be let around low. It will hurt him. Our foolish but lovely couple ignores this, thinking it's just a good-natured concern. Until one night, they let the dog out to pee as usual, and he came back chewing something. He swallows before they can do anything, but they just chalk it up to usual dog shenanigans. A while later, they had to have the dog put down due to complications from poisoning. Now the couple confronts Mill, and she swears it wasn't her. And without any proof, and with the neighbors hating their dog, also a very anxious barker, the couple gives her the benefit of the doubt. Although they distance themselves from her and move houses. Another couple of years pass, and Mill sees DIL, DH, and Lo twice a year at the most, and they get along fine. Until Hazare DIL is pregnant. It's still early days, but she is feeling that morning sickness all the time. DH is away a lot on business, and with a boisterous 5-year-old in the house, needing feeding, cleaning, and taking to school and club activities, what is poor Dal to do? Her own parents live far away and are not much help. So they allow Mill to help out, so she moves in, just until DH's job has settled down a bit more, and she helps out. Now Dil has noticed that Lo has become a little reserved, but puts it down to adjusting to the news of not being an only child. Until, of course, she is informed by our brave heroine of the abuse her child is suffering at her hands. When they get home without Mill, Lo asks if he is in trouble. Dal pushed a little and discovered that this was not the first time Mill had physically disciplined Lo. They are really against physical discipline. Apparently, whenever Mill had Lo alone, and he misbehaved, she would spank him, and tell him that she wouldn't mention this to his mother, so he wouldn't get in any more trouble. Of course, this effectively stopped Lo from confiding in his parents about the abuse. So they are once again NC, but this time apparently for good. They are trying to get a RO, and are working on disappearing. The police case for abuse is going nowhere fast despite their efforts. They told me all this, and so much more, which is why I feel this horrible fear in my gut, because I know this woman is smarter than the others. She knows how to play nice, bide her time, and strike when it will hurt the most. She is the most dangerous type of crazy, the one who gets away with it. Now my llamas, please be forgiving to my new friend and her DH. They are very lovely people who were taken in by a monster. I hope my next update will have this evil BTCH behind bars for a long time. We shall see. Until then, we are being wary, and we are all getting ready to run. Small, very crappy update. So the police went to question Mill after reviewing the security footage. I am told she was very cooperative, and even let the police search her house. She had a pack of unopened razors and an unopened box of poison. The police are considering it a coincidence. When they questioned FM about my present, she confessed fully. My lawyer is peeved because FM doesn't even know where I'm live. She couldn't tell the police where I live. She said she followed me on the bus, but I haven't gotten on the bus since before this all happened. The police, however, don't give a SHT, apparently. A confession is enough for them. My lawyer is trying his best to make the police realize it's obviously a trap. We meet on Monday with DIL and my lawyer to basically compare notes. Sorry, this isn't satisfying. Update. So, it's been a while. To everyone who has been messaging me and responding to my posts, thank you. I have read all of it, and I really appreciate you all. Things got crazy, and I just couldn't really deal with it very well. This whole situation has really F-ed with me. I've had to go back on my medications, and my poor soul is currently the glue holding me together. So without further ado, let's catch up with some bullshit. So we have a lot to cover. So I'm going to quickly mention some things. My face is healing well, and I no longer look like I tried to bang on a brick wall. My former workplace is compensating me, rather than taking me to court. DIL and family got a RO. I, however, did not because there was not enough evidence linking Mill and the incident. I love my bad arse letter cage, which may have also helped save our lives recently. So thank you again to you guys. FM is being charged with a lot of things that I am still not allowed to disclose. But she will be away for a long time. She didn't roll on Mill, though. That's it for the brief update. I'm sure I've forgotten something. I'm a little all over the place as of late, so please ask questions if you have any. So me and So set up all our security stuff when I last updated. And for a little while it was quiet. We almost thought maybe it was over, that Mill had retreated to the shadows from whence she came. Ha 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 ha. First, the graffiti started. Now, to give you a good idea, I live in a smallish area surrounded by other smallish areas. mainly populated by old people and families. Graffiti just isn't a thing here. First, it was on the outside of our garden wall. Just one word SLT. We thought maybe some kids were from a nearby city. Continues with life. Then it was our bin home wrecker. Okay, maybe not kids. We check our cameras, but they don't cover the bin area. So we adjust, put up another camera, and wait. Then our garage door die. This time, we call the police. We have it on film FM2, and we give them the footage. But there isn't much they can do with it because it's dark and doesn't get his face. Apologies for the terrible sentences. English is hard, and even typing this SHT up makes me start to panic. At this point, my paranoia is starting to set in. I only leave the house with So, and his work is still letting him work from home, so I'm not alone. We inform our neighbors that some bullshit is going down. The night the RO went through for DIL and Co., everything went to SHT. Deep breaths. I would like you all to know I had to abbreviate from posting because I started panicking and couldn't breathe. It's late. We are asleep in bed when we hear the glass break. We have a glass conservatory attached to our home. It connects our back door with our garden. So jumps out of bed, and I phone the police. While I'm hysterically trying to get the police to get to us quickly, my incredibly stupid So decides to play superhero. Luckily for him, our actual beefed-up neighbor had heard the commotion and had come to help. Together, they get FM2 down, where the neighbor holds him while I deal with my wrath at his utter stupidity. The police come and take FM2 away. The front of our house had burned in hell graffitied across it. Our room is at the back, so we didn't hear it. He had set fire to something and put it into our letterbox. Thank you, internet stranger, for being effing psychic. Our bin was also set on fire, but luckily we had not caught onto anything. Our conservatory was trashed with broken glass, and a cat that looked just like my cat was left there. We are still trying to find the owner to break the news. I'm sorry it's not articulated well. I'm having to distance myself from it. We captured it all on camera and gave it to the police. FM2 had a small knife on him. I think he believed I was alone in the house, and when my So gave chase, he panicked. Things progressed quickly from there. It turns out FM2 is the DH of our original FM, and he was under the impression that I was at fault for his wife's current predicament. When he realized that they were actually puppets, he rolled over on his master pretty damn quickly. You'd think this would be the end of it, right? You'd be wrong. The police went for Mill, but she's disappeared. She didn't take her car, and no one knows where she is. So now here we are a few weeks from moving, and I can't leave the house. If So goes out for groceries, I close myself in my closet and try not to break down. If anyone looks at the house when walking past, I panic. I spend most of my time watching the cameras, holding my cat babies, and thanking every god, deity, or demon that it wasn't worse. That's what these people do. This is the damage that is left. I just can't wait till we get out of here. DIL and company are staying with a friend until Mill is found. DIL has spent a lot of time here with me. She has been amazing. They are still lurking. They are going to post once this is all over. So there you go. It's not a justice boner. It's just terrifying, really. Sorry, I don't have anything better to update with, and this lacks my usual humor. Update. I know many of you are worried about me. I'm ashamed to say that I responded to some and not others. Let's just say that I was in a very, very dark place, and even getting a notification on this sub freaked me out. My therapist said it was association, but I'm still back and finally ready to finish this up for all of our llamas. This is likely to be a rambling mess, I am afraid, because I do not plan on proofreading at all and am just trying to get through it. I believe that doing this will help me finally close this effing awful chapter of my life. I've come a long way, and with your guys' advice and a lot of therapy, I feel like a semi-normal human being again. So without further ado, we left off on me, and So was running. The police couldn't find any trace of Mill anywhere, and I knew that she would be after either me or DIL. 50-50 is not that great of odds when dealing with a effing psycho. So we packed up everything important, our cat babies, and left. Many of you offered places to stay, for which I was very grateful, and it was actually with one of you that we escaped. A shout out to you for being awesome. The journey was long, that is, 8 hours of pretty constant driving. We were both too scared to pull over for any rest. I know it was dangerous. But to be fair, we were literally running into the arms of a complete stranger who could easily have been a serial killer. We get there, and I'm pretty numb. I can't describe my feelings during this time because it freaks me out thinking about it. And it's so hard to understand unless you've felt it yourself. It's just a permanent numbness punctured with periods of deep primal fear. I felt like an animal in a cage that was waiting to be beaten. It was by far the worst time of my life so far. Anyway, we get to this person's land, and it is in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by fields, and practically perfect for hiding out. We were there for 2 months. During this time, I was mostly clinging to my cats, calling the police station daily for news, checking in with DIL, and helping out a little. It was our host who forced me to continue my therapy sessions by phone. To be honest, the way I was going, she probably saved my life. Slowly, I started to recover. I started to focus on other things to keep me busy. We started looking for a house to call our own, and we started talking seriously about marriage. I started to feel like a person again, and I started to laugh more. I'm very glad I was stronger when I got the call. Mill had been spotted. She had convinced a family friend to drop off a spare packed lunch for her grandson. Luckily, the class teacher isn't a effing moron and inspected it once it arrived in the classroom, knowing that he already had a lunch box. The entire contents were laced with the same allergen that the son shares with his mother. There was also a note. I'm not sure what it said, as when Dill called me to tell me the situation, she was a effing blabbering mess. But the general gist seemed to be, I've taken your son away from you like you did to me. Yes, she tried to kill her grandson because she realized she was in deep SHT. This sent me into a panic. I cannot convey in words how effing horrible it was in the few hours before they found her. I'm not even going to recount it properly because I can't breathe when I think about that moment. Eventually, they found her in my old house. We still technically lived there, as we had nowhere else to store the stuff we had to leave behind. They found her screaming and destroying everything. I'm assuming that she thought that if she was going down, she was taking me and Dal with her. She was arrested and will be away for a very, very long time. FM and FM2, I was told, will probably be out in a few years with good behavior since they rolled over on her. But I doubt they will care about me. Dill and family ran. Her DH got his job to transfer them out of the country. And we've both agreed not to speak, as this whole experience took a toll on my mental health. And it would be best for me if I could just remove myself from these events. I never went back to the old house, so he went and saved what he could. The rest we brought new. We moved into a nice house far away from where these events transpired. After a lot of therapy, I finally got up the courage to go back to work. It wasn't easy, and I'm really downplaying the journey I had to go through. But I'm not really ready to talk about that. I only came back to Reddit properly 2 months ago, and I've been lurking in this sub. A few of you gave me the purpose to post this update because a lot of you are in situations where you are a lot like I was, not fully understanding just how much danger you are in. I know I may be a little biased, but please accept that this update does nothing but warn you. Do not give them a chance to hurt you. Even if they only seem a little crazy, treat it like a nuclear threat. Trust me when I say that it is really not worth trying to be political or downplaying it. I will never be the same as I was before. We have security cameras in our new house. It took me effing ages to be able to let my cats outside for fear of their safety. I had to tell, so that I wanted to push back having children, because I was not ready to be responsible for another person, while constantly looking over my shoulder and checking security footage of my house. Do not care about what anyone says. Follow your gut and stay effing safe. Find people who actually support your decisions, and do not compromise your safety for a single second. Thank you to everyone who commented and messaged me. I was terrible at replying. And to the moderators, I'm sorry if I broke any rules or caused any trouble for you at any point. You all have been so wonderful and supportive during this whole thing. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.